Welcome back to the news from Kazakhstan. I'm Marina Kima and here are the top stories. Kazakhstan is celebrating one of the most important Muslim holidays, Kurban Eid. Although it lasts 3 days, only the first one was made an official day off in the country. The head of state Nursultan Nazarbayev, who is currently in Almaty, started the day with a visit to the city mosque. Even long before the arrival of the presidential motorcade, all accesses to the mosque were blocked by the police, which somewhat marred the holiday.
The silent crowd, complete with security service and police personnel, waited for their leader for 2 hours after the morning prayer. No one could get in or get out of the perimeter, and tenants of nearby houses were even told to close all windows and balcony doors. The rudeness and impudence used to provide the president's security, including the blocking of all driveways and pedestrian passes, herding people in yards and not letting students to exit universities, is absolutely unbecoming. Finally, the president showed up and immediately went into the mosque while waving to the crowd, which filmed him with their mobile phones. Only his personal press was allowed inside with the head of state. 10 minutes later, the nation's leader reappeared and congratulated the congregation with the Kurban Eid. Dear Muslim brothers, today is a great holiday of Kurban Eid. I wish you a happy celebration and wealth to your families. After his speech, Nazarbayev briefly chatted with the people. A couple of men who made it through the security were lucky to personally shake the president's hand. Upon visiting the mosque, the president's motorcade proceeded to paralyze the traffic in the downtown, going from one facility to another, built for the upcoming Asian Winter Games. Only 76 days are left before the event, and Nazarbayev needs to know about the progress. The first stop was the skating rink Medeo, reconstructed mostly by American, Russian and Finnish companies, although observers noted that local enterprises would have done just as well. The restoration of the center cost the country more than $64 million. As of now, we have spent about $59 million, and the rest of the money is left as a guarantee for further use. In his message to the press, the president said he is absolutely satisfied with everything. Kazakhstan is ready to host the 7th Winter Asian Games. We have seen the ski jump, the ready Medeo and Chimbulak, and the biathlon track, which is under construction now, will also be ready on time. Tomorrow, the president will depart back to Astana, seizing all temporary inconveniences to Almaty populace. Some sources say that the Kazakhstan's Muslims Union is drafting a formal statement about the violation of honor and dignity of local residents by the services responsible for the visit of the head of state.
Astana's authorities also added to the disappointment, banning all sacrificial rituals within the city boundaries. The essence of the holiday is in sacrifice of an animal and giving the meat to the poor and needy. Usually rituals were held next to the homes of the Muslims, but this year they were allowed only in strictly appointed places like the Altyn Aga Bazaar, several kilometers away from the city.
The head of the Muslims Union, Murat Tilibekov, believes it is not the best idea to herd people in their place to turn the expression of individual commitment into a mass action. In addition, what should be done by those who cannot go out so far out of town? Why can't they install mobile posts for ritual slaughtering of cattle in Astana? They also could have cut down the prices for sacrificial rams. Can the city administration show its unity with the people once a year? The knives require constant resharpening as tired sheep are brought to slaughters non-stop. Kurban Eid is one of the most revered holidays for Muslims. Perhaps it looks overly bloodthirsty, but is not actually considered as such. The ancient Muslim rite has quite a practical implementation, as this is the way to prove one's loyalty. Ibrahim ibn Salam wanted to prove his loyalty to Allah and sacrifice himself, but Allah sent him a ram instead, and since then people sacrifice rams. According to the tradition, the cooked ram must be shared with the needy. 1/3 of the meal is left to the owner, and the rest goes to the poor. The latter come as individuals and also in a form of social organization. The Astana Disabled Union is requesting some aid. Everything happens in Astana suburb at the Altyn Aga Bazaar. A long queue of cars appeared at the gates early in the morning. The city administration banned bloody rituals within the city boundaries and turned the market into a sacrificial altar. The lack of space is quite evident, and there are simply too many people at the sacrificial spot. This prompts the shift of the slaughter to the stone embankment. The only problem now is that there is not enough space here and too many people willing to make their sacrifice. The city authorities motivate their decision citing the incidents in the past when some sacrifices were held practically in children's play areas. That is why the new place was found far away from the city. Unfortunately, this way citizens' comfort and personal beliefs were sacrificed for moral order.
The center of the celebrations in the capital was the mosque Nur Astana. The entire day it was visited by numerous people, including several high-ranking officials.
Thousands of Muslims came to the main mosque of the country to conduct the morning prayer, including high-ranking state officials. Many of them refused to share their views on the sacred holiday, considering it an intimate subject. The Minister of Information and Communication, Askar Jumangaliyev, also prefers to communicate with God in private.
Можете рассказать, то есть, что для вас праздник Курбан Айд?
What does this holiday, Kurban Eid, means to you?
Ваши отношения?
Senator Zhumabek Turigildinov doesn't want to talk about the holiday as well. After speaking to Imam, he quickly left the mosque through a VIP entrance. Luckily, Vice Speaker of the lower house, Shanubek Karibzhanov, agreed to share his opinion, saying that he thinks exclusively about the country, even during this important holiday. I wish that our sovereign Kazakhstan will continue to prosper with developing economy, peace and in harmony. Nevertheless, official lawmakers treat the God's laws with reverent awe. The parliament speaker admitted that he tries to visit the mosque often and not only during the holidays. I can't say I visit the mosque every month, but I do it often with and without a cause. Interestingly, many officials said in private talks that the mosque visit is only the beginning of the holiday. The vast majority of state servants celebrated Kurban Eid according to all the canons with sacrifices and festive meals.
On Tuesday, Almaty hosted a roundtable on the interaction of NGOs and authorities organized by the OEC and OEDIHR. Unfortunately, officials ignored the event, which prompted observers to note that it is quite common for Kazakhstan, since there is virtually no efficiency in similar bilateral dialogues so far, with the exception of the contact between the authorities and civil sector.
The authorities only talk about their work with non-governmental sector. In reality, they tend to avoid contacts with NGOs. This conclusion was reached by participants of the roundtable in Almaty, who also said officials are not interested in the values of the humanitarian basket. We try to foster this collaboration not selectively. Our mandate is to promote this dialogue and encourage it with all possible means, and to provide help so that it will be effective and develop dynamically. Zauresh Batalova arrived to the event from Astana. Like nobody else, she knows well about the deficit of a constructive dialogue with the authorities. She says that high-ranking officials never entered talks with the defrauded real estate investors and mortgage holders in the country's capital, whose hunger strike continues for already 125 days. This protest is simply ignored. The authorities pay no attention to the hunger strike or other protest actions. They hold all media resources and only work on external image, implementing public relations policies through various conferences and forums. MP Aygul Solovyova was the only state representative who visited protesters in the summer, and perhaps that is why she is not considered the only MP who sometimes listens to ordinary people. Solovyova says that the state underestimates the work of non-governmental sector, both literally and figuratively. There might be a situation when a person is left without any attention, then hospices should take care of such people. But we don't have them in Astana. The state could delegate the creation of such institutions to the non-governmental sector. Solovyova says that in Western countries the work of NGOs forms a good support to the state budget. In Kazakhstan this contribution is microscopic. The MP is confident that this is not because NGOs do not work, but because no one uses their activities effectively.
On Tuesday, war veterans celebrated the 69th anniversary of the heroic World War II battles of the 360th Infantry Division led by Ivan Panfilov. Almaty has a park named after the 29 heroes of the unit. On November 16th, veterans of a more recent Afghan war laid flowers to the heroes' monument and also used the opportunity to share their concern that the heroic past is being forgotten in Kazakhstan.
Afghan war veterans talked to school children about the heroic battles of the 316th Infantry Division led by the General Ivan Panfilov. The veterans are concerned since people start to forget about their heroes. On Tuesday, November 16th, only family members, friends and pupils came to commemorate the guardsmen.
То есть до Москвы оставалось менее 100 километров.
Moscow was less than 100 kilometers away, and of course the forces were uneven. The Germans had more men and tanks.
В танках, в живой
Sergei
силе.
Pashevich, the leader of the Union Combat Brotherhood, says the state completely pays no attention to the initiatives of the veterans. For instance, the MPs rejected a proposed bill, while the request to stop the demolition of the only hospital for World War II veterans is ignored. Seniors might simply not live long enough to see the new clinic, while many specialists will end up unemployed.
Считаем, что геноцид в отношении ветеранов со стороны
We feel this is the
чиновников
genocide of veterans by officials. My friend Batur Abdusalamov said that we were not killed at the war with enemy bullets, but we are killed now with officials' pens.
сакраментально. Я вас туда не посылал.
The conflict between the health ministry and veterans began in summer with the news about the demolition of the hospital in the foothills of the Transilia Latau. Supposedly, the building is not earthquake-proof and some cracks appeared on walls. A decision was made to raise the hospital and build a new one instead. Health Ministry Secretary Bulat Sadikov says that veterans should not be worried. We owe everything to these people, and that is why they will get decent medical care. There will be no other options to replace the hospital, relocate it or sell the land it is built on. We will preserve this hospital for the treatment of our disabled and war veterans. Members of the Combat Brotherhood do not believe officials, saying that even the international treaty on collective security signed as part of the CSTO membership doesn't grant Kazakhstan's military personnel any social guarantees or decent medical care. Activists of veterans organizations intend to continue fighting for the only specialized hospital in the country, as well as remind everyone of their problems using all possible opportunities, like the 69th anniversary of the feat by 28 Panfilov heroes.
Back to Kurban Eid. Monday early morning, all mosques of the country conducted sermons on the occasion of the main Muslim holiday. Almost all cattle markets worked both day and night shifts to allow all believers buy their sacrificial animals. Traditionally, during the Eid, it is considered important to ask each other for forgiveness, help the needy, and pray for the well-being of everyone.
Most Muslims gather for the morning prayer before the sunrise. The mosque Nur Astana can barely accommodate all visitors. For a short time, the streets adjacent to the mosque appear to be completely blocked. In his sermon, the Imam of the Almaty Mosque, Nur Mubarak, talked about the good harmony and unity of nations. Kurban Eid or Eid al-Adha is one of the most popular and revered holidays in Islamic world. On this day, people should communicate with the ones they don't see often. People should visit each other and celebrate and think of Allah. After the morning prayer, every believer has to distribute sadaqah or the charity to the needy. Wealthy Muslims have to sacrifice an animal of choice, goat, ram, cow or camel, depending on their income. The sacrifice is the basic meaning of the holiday. According to the Quran, Allah asked Prophet Ibrahim to sacrifice his own son, but at the last moment he sent Ibrahim a ram instead. For the purpose of convenience, the animals for sacrificing can be purchased near the mosque. Depending on the region, the cost of a ram ranges from $100 to $250. The bargain over the cost is unacceptable, otherwise it won't be the sacrifice. When buying an animal for the ritual, Muslims are guided by the set of rules. It shouldn't be blind, crippled or with broken horns, and must be of a certain age. Imam told us to split the meat into 3 parts, leave 1 part to ourselves and distribute the rest to the neighbors, children's homes, needy and even strangers. Kurban Eid is celebrated for 3 days, but in Kazakhstan Muslims will have to go back to work already on Wednesday, as only the first day was made an official day off.
These were all the main news for November 16. Join us tomorrow for more. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.